Well, welcome back to Closing Bell. South Africa's employment statistics, jobs generally, an all-time low since 2003. And we take a look now at this serious issue. Joining us, Tracy Hackland, CEO of Columba. Well, Tracy, let's start with you. We've got these numbers which sit stubbornly at 25, 26, 27. If there's a slight variation, it actually doesn't seem to make much difference. And, of course, it's the number of young people coming on the market every year. Youth unemployment much worse than 27%.
Absolutely. And I think from Columba's point of view, it's really important that we start intervening really early. You know, the education system is not helping young people develop the kind of skills that they need to actually progress after school. And so we need to think of some innovative ways of helping young people develop those skills, including becoming much more socially entrepreneurial.
So let's just, before we go on to the others, what have you been doing?
So Columba runs a program with high schools. We work in partnership with youth and with high schools around the country, all in economically disadvantaged areas. And for 2 years, these young people actually become involved in a leadership program. But it's very practical in nature. And these young people actually tackle social challenges, and in the process, they develop a whole range of really important skills.
Yes. They talk about the growing of the small business being, or the small business being the heartbeat of our nation. When you go to these different schools and you talk to the young people, those in universities, schools and whatever, are they looking to start their own businesses, or do they want to go to established businesses? Because there's a massive change right now where people don't actually want to go to work for established companies right now.
Certainly in our experience, and it's partly because of the kind of program that we run, young people are really motivated to go back into their communities and serve in some way, bring about positive change. And so they are very, very eager to set up their own businesses or their own initiatives that can actually have a social impact. Certainly there are some that obviously want to go into formal employment. A lot of our graduates actually go into further study. But this service mindset, this desire to serve communities is a massive thing. And for us, there's a market there.
And there's lots of big corporates who have enterprise development operations. Why aren't we getting this 27% down?
Okay, what I think the problem is in South Africa is at the moment we've got people that have a resource economy mindset instead of a knowledge economy mindset like the US and other developed countries. So when a person thinks about starting a business, you know, we've got the land question, you know, they're thinking about assets. We need to get something before we can start. But you don't have people that are able of thinking of ideas and maybe creating a product that's intangible and then selling that.
Look, I think, you know, I'd agree with what you're saying, and I'd add to that, obviously there are macroeconomic factors around the economy, and there are certain ecosystem factors around education, incentives, etc. What we see is that at an SME level, small business level, there's certain constraints that people are still struggling to get their heads around. So the entrepreneurs in South Africa, as an example, struggle to source finance into their business. They struggle to have that investable business plan. And I think that what we've seen over the course of the last 5-10 years is that there's certain new methodologies and models that are starting to work.
I think there is still a real opportunity for micro enterprises, but in a low risk kind of way.
What's a micro? What is the definition?
So a really tiny,
2 or 3 people?
Than 2 or 3, less than 9 people in the enterprise. But what Columba is actually exploring at the moment is having an informal network of these entrepreneurially minded young people that we can actually connect with products and services, take the risk out of it, because the big factor for young people, you can't afford to fail too often. You don't necessarily have the support of your families. They don't want you to take those kinds of risks. So how do we take the risk out of it in the early days? And for us, you know, identifying products and services that can help young people be impactful in their communities, for us building on what they've already started in school. So they tackle a range of issues, nutrition, health, all sorts of things. You know, what would be some of the products and services that they could actually deliver, get paid for it, and from there step into some of the more evolved business models.
The first challenge is that entrepreneurs are not that recognized in South Africa. The success stories, it's not like the Steve Jobs, the Bill Gates that we always read about. Like, we don't know the South African.
Well, fairly insignificant numbers become significant through some of the models and innovation that you're seeing around this table and in the broader markets.
Scratching the surface of a big issue, but it's very encouraging that these things are going on. That's Daniel Hatfield, MD of Edge Growth, Tracy Hackland, CEO of Columba, and Piwa Nkumbule, who is co-founder and CEO of Riovic.